Hi, it's Matt from Milwaukee Record.
Hi, I'm Kristin from Matskills, Wisconsin.
And this is. So we are recording this on Thursday, May 13th. By the way, hello, Kristin. It's nice to see you. I just
Hello, it's
kind
nice
of
to see
jumped
you as
right in there.
well. Your hair, it's fabulous.
Oh, thank you very much. I got a haircut mere hours ago. And beyond the haircuts, this day, Thursday, has been a real doozy. And I feel like it's going to go down as kind of a big, important date in the history of this whole pandemic in this country. Earlier today, this was before I got my haircut, Mayor Barrett announced that beginning June 15th, Milwaukee will be pretty much ditching most of its COVID restrictions that's had in place for the past year. This includes capacity for indoor and outdoor gatherings for any business, basically everything but an indoor mask mandate. That's still going to stay in place. So this was a big deal. This happened this morning. It was very exciting. And then now, mere hours ago from when we're recording this, the CDC, they didn't want to be upstaged by Milwaukee. So they got on the horn and they said, hey, you can pretty much, if you're vaccinated, you can pretty much ditch your mask completely, both indoors and outdoors, large gatherings, the whole thing. There are some exceptions, things like planes or hospitals and things like that. So, boy, I don't know. This feels like a pretty big, important day. Does it feel the same way to you?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the day May 13th will remember, but I certainly think my first thought was, what the hell am I going to do with all those masks? Like, I have a whole tub of masks that will not suffice as a headband. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do with that. But I guess the question becomes, as far as mask mandates go, because not everyone's getting vaccinated. And if we're not all required to bring our vaccine card on us, do we still have mask mandates to prove unless you can prove that you're vaccinated? There's still this gray area, but I'm excited because wearing a mask last summer was not fun. In the heat, masks in the winter, for it, keeps your face warm. Masks in the humidity of a Wisconsin summer, not great. So I'm very excited about that.
I'm excited to, as with during this entire year, anytime something has changed slightly, I'm always interested in finding out what the next thing we'll all be mad about, what we're all going to be arguing about for the next week or so. And I've already seen it online. I love how quick it is. I love Twitter so much because you can see in real time what we're going to be arguing about for at least a week. And that is some businesses saying hey, we're going to keep this mask mandate, despite what the city is saying or despite what the president is saying, and people getting angry about that. People saying, hey, I'm still going to wear masks outside. People getting angry about that. At this point, I kind of love it. I just love that at this point, it's like vaccinated people arguing with other vaccinated people. That is a wrinkle I never saw coming in this thing. It's amazing.
Well, that's the thing. I've seen the people being like, why are you wearing your mask? It's because the inverse of it is not true, right? It's my choice to not wear a mask. It's well, that's like saying it's your choice to drink and drive. You are putting other people at risk by not wearing a mask. Me wearing a mask, and so the opposite of that is not true though, right? Me wearing a mask, doesn't hurt you at all. I mean, the business is fine. Business is I don't want to wear a mask in your place. The CDC says we don't have to anymore, yada, yada, yada. But the individual choice of just being angry if someone's outside wearing a mask is what? Right. They're literally not hurting anyone. What are you talking about? Let it go. Pick something else to be mad about.
We should also say that mere hours after Mayor Barrett announced the COVID restrictions ending on the 15th of June, the Brewers came out and said, hey, we are going to open up to 100% capacity at American Family Field. It was only last week when they announced that they'd be bumping it up from, I think, 25% to 50. So that's just going to hang around for a few weeks. And then they're going full capacity June 25th, I believe, beginning with a run of home games there. And
then what are the Bucks, right? Well, the Bucks announced last week in time for the playoffs, they're bumping up capacity too.
I have not seen them, weigh in on the latest developments, but you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they said last
I mean,
week
I
they'd
think
be-
that if they can get away with it, they're in the business of making money. Like if they
Oh,
can get
yeah.
away with it with like more people, just have more people there than less people. And then they're playing really well so that, having a fans there might actually help us. So we'll see. But I haven't been to a Bucks game yet. And
Neither
so
have
I'm
I.
hoping to do that, now before they lose in the playoffs.
I went to a
So,
Brewers
or
game when it
maybe
was
don't, maybe
still.
they don't lose. I shouldn't put that out there.
Don't say that. My God, we jinxed everything with this. I was going to say I went to a Brewers game when it was quarter capacity, and it was really nice. It was kind of eerie because it was kind of empty, and it was a night game, so it was even more bizarre. But it was kind of nice. Like you could go to the bathroom, and there weren't a million awful people crowding you, and you could like buy concessions very easily. And I'll kind of miss that in a weird
I know. It's funny because like the opposite, like again, the opposite is also true. I on Derby Day, not necessarily by choice, ended up at a popular nightclub in Milwaukee that was just opening for the first time, or reopening for the first time. And we stopped in to say hi to the managers and stuff like that. And it was very crowded and it was weird. Well, first, I'm not a big nightclub person in the first place, so it's not all like definitely my scene, but it was despite having gone out, since I moved to Milwaukee, like I've gone to bars, I've not been like hibernating and stuff, but like I'm very used to, if you're in a bar, you have to be seated. I'm very used to, if anyone is standing, they're going to and from the bathroom and they have a mask on. And so to be in a crowded indoor space was like, whoa, oh yeah, this is what this feels like. Not bad. I'm not ratting out the place being like, this is like dangerous, but it was just weird. It was very weird.
It's what are we saying? It's the new normal. We're getting back. I don't
We're getting
know.
back to normal.
I guess, I don't know, but it turns out the old normal was kind of weird in a lot of ways. And I don't know if I want to go back to everything. I don't know. Maybe I do.
Fair. The things we've proven that we can do remotely, I think there's no putting it back in the bottle.
That's true. I mean, there is absolutely, I mean, we were kind of, before we did this today, we were saying like, should we do this in person? We could. And then I was like, we could just do it online. Yeah. It's fun. It's so easy. So, do we have some numbers? Like, what are the numbers for the for COVID?
For where we're at? So I looked these up because I feel like I've not been great at staying on top of like not only what the numbers are, but also like what the context of the number is. So the good news is, on top of the CDC announcement today, Pfizer also is basically open now. 12 to 15-year-olds are approved to also get the vaccine. So that is exciting. So we're in Wisconsin specifically, we're at almost 2.6 million people who've gotten at least one dose. We're at 2.2 million who are fully vaccinated. So that is, correct me if I'm wrong, if we're almost 6 million people, that's like pretty well above 2/3 of our population, right?
In there, yeah.
So that's exciting. For the state of Wisconsin, we've had 558 as of yesterday, we've had 558 new cases. The average number of new cases has declined for the last 10 consecutive days. So that's good. And the hospitalization numbers have also held steady for about a week, which that to me always is what feels like the thing that like the most goalpost is like deaths and hospitalizations. So to know that that's not rising is good. So it feels like this is warranted as far as opening up and starting to feel like we can be kind of normal again.
I think so. And, of course, all officials, including the mayor and the Milwaukee Health Commissioner, her name is Kristin Johnson, kind of saying like, we're not done. We're not over. This isn't over. But, I kind of like it, at least as far as Milwaukee is concerned, that they kind of frame it as we've earned this. Like we've put in the time, we've made the sacrifices that perhaps other communities did not. And, whatever, I'm all over it. So I'm happy that we kind of, did our part, and it feels good to kind of loosen up a little bit. So I'm all for it. I'm excited.
I'm very excited for my first Milwaukee summer as a Milwaukee resident to be more normal than it was last year.
Well, speaking of normal summer things, we don't have to talk about this a ton, but we can touch on it briefly. Summerfest was just last week or so, whatever it was. They went ahead and announced their big lineup for not only their amphitheater, big headlining amphitheater stages, but for all the ground stages. I don't know what it was, like 90 or so names. And this was a big deal because for a while they had announced that they were moving to September, which we can talk about in a little bit. But finally, they unloaded all the names, and it was kind of incredible because it felt like a very, very, very normal Summerfest lineup. Like just looking at the names, and I have some here: Queensryche, REO Speedwagon, T-Pain, Better Than Ezra, George Thorogood, Joan Jett, she's there every year, Nelly, he's always there, Sugar Hill Gang, 311, and I picked out, some dandies, but it's just like all the
Dave Matthews Band. I'm personally very excited to see Dave Matthews Band.
They're all there. Plus some really good amphitheater shows, like Miley Cyrus is playing. Who else? Chance the Rapper, he's there. And I don't know, probably some country stuff. I don't know. It's usually, but I don't know. Yeah, I just looking at this lineup, I was like, wow, this is really, really normal. And it felt good. It felt good. Once I saw the first person online complaining about the Summerfest lineup, I knew that nature, as they say, had healed and we were back to normal. It was someone complaining about how the lineup sucked and how it was only good if you were between the ages of 35 and 47. It was like, yes, here we are. We are back. Felt great.
I know. It's exciting. I mean, the one thing that some sentiment I've heard is just because of it's usually two full weeks, right? And this time it is only on the weekends. It's on 2 weekends. And so for, a large part of this city that works in the service industry that got hit probably arguably the hardest in the last year as far as like getting laid off, reduced hours, reduced pay just because of capacity limits and stuff. They've now chosen to only have the concerts on the days that are their highest paying days. And so their ability, like a service industry's ability to go appreciate and be appreciated at Summerfest is kind of limited because there's no weekday shows. So that kind of sucks, but I'm not in charge. So
it's it's actually 3 weekends in a row.
3 weekends, okay.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Okay.
Is what they're doing. So I mean, that's a huge change. It used to be just 2 full weeks. They'd sometimes take a Monday off to, I don't know, clean or whatever they did on that day. But this is a big change, and kind of buried in one of the articles I read, I think it was Piet from the Journal, kind of buried in there. He talked to the big, what's his name? Bob Babish from Summerfest. And he said going forward, we're going to kind of keep this 3 weekend deal.
Really?
Yeah. It was kind of
I didn't make bigger news.
Right. It was kind of this underreported little nugget in there. Obviously this year it's very strange. It'll be hard to judge, how that works maybe this year, but I don't know. It seems like this may be what they're going to do going forward.
But it will go back to July?
Yes, I believe they said, it is still in summer. People are always like, oh, it's Fall Fest now. It's like, well, it's still technically summer. It's like the first 3 weekends in September, still summer. But yes, I believe they will be moving it back to June or July or whatever it usually is.
Huh.
So we'll see. But nonetheless, I'm excited to, check out REO Speedwagon with my mom again, which I've done about 9 times at Summerfest, and it's always great.
Amazing.
So I know you have been very, very busy with something that I really don't understand. And I'm hoping that you can explain this to me and to our viewers. And this has to do with a lot of gerrymandering things and fair maps things. And I see you talking about this online a lot. And what's going on?
So how do we put this on a nice bow? So basically, to go way back, but I'll keep it short, is for the last 10 years, we have been the most gerrymandered state in the country, arguably so. But like multiple national publications have been like, Wisconsin's super, super gerrymandered. What does that mean? So basically the way that our state legislature, so think like Robin Vos and at the time Scott Fitzgerald and at the time Scott Walker, because he was our governor, every 10 years we get to draw the maps. So we take the population, so the census happens, and the amount of seats both in congressional districts, so think Glenn Groffman and Tom Tiffany, and now Tom Tiffany and Ron Kine and Gwen Moore. So we're keeping, this time around, we're keeping that many congressional seats, but then it's for how many seats we send to DC, but it's also how our assembly and state senators are split up, and what those and who they represent. And the maps that happened this last time around were crazy because we had gotten to the point where the technology available to be so precise on voting patterns and use computers to literally draw maps that like included or discluded someone's house into the map makes it so that despite the fact that we are a pretty evenly split state, like we're basically about as perfect. When you look at our presidential elections, you look at our statewide elections, we're about 50-50 even Steven of people who typically vote Republican or typically vote Democrat. But the way that our maps are drawn, the advantage that the Republicans have is having like a huge majority in the Assembly and the state Senate makes it so that we can never have parity. Like there's just not the puzzle pieces as far as like the representation of how many people actually want someone who's maybe a little bit more left-leaning just isn't there. And so this year is our only chance for the next 10 years to fix that. And so basically we're at the point where the census is in, it was a little delayed. So the whole process is going to be delayed. But this time around, instead of having a Republican-led legislature and a Republican governor, we have Tony Evers, who is a Democrat governor. So the process is that it's going to have, like, basically where the legislature is going to draw a map. Most likely Tony Evers is going to veto it. It's going to end up in the courts. So the question is, what do we as the public do about it? Because despite being a very, very evenly split state, fair maps and ending gerrymandering is overwhelmingly popular. I think they've passed referendums in like 55 counties that like have passed with 70 to 75% in favor of fair maps. And that has no teeth because the way that the Wisconsin Constitution works is that it has to be the legislature. Like we can't vote like they did in Michigan for an independent party to draw the maps. Like that's just not, that change has to come from them. So what we can do is continue to raise public sentiment and public outcry and public support so that the mounting pressure of and notable pressure that the court, like the Wisconsin Supreme Court and like the court system that the inevitable lawsuit will go through, can't really ignore where the public stands on this issue. But the thing is, gerrymandering is really boring. Like you don't get the same outcry of the average person as you did over Black Lives Matter because it's not as visceral. It's not as obvious. But the thing is, for anyone who cares about anything getting done in Wisconsin, whether it's legalizing weed, whether it's Milwaukee's ability to have a sales tax so we can potentially someday lower property taxes, whether it's universal background checks, whether it's like anything that most people want to get done, not even just the left wants to get done, isn't happening because all of our state representatives, Republican and Democrat, are in safe seats. So like they can't be held accountable because they're likely good. They're just going to win no matter what. And so for anyone who cares about anything, you need to care about gerrymandering and ending it this year. And so we're having a rally. That's all to say that there's going to be a rally at the Capitol on Monday. We have a bunch of speakers. I'm going to be the MC. It's going to be safe. I don't know. Maybe we won't have to wear masks now that the CDC said this, but so that's my soapbox. Thanks for letting me rant. But it's just kind of like we have this one shot. Otherwise, we're stuck with this for another 10 years. We're stuck with Voss for another 10 years. So imagine
that guy.
that guy.
Yes. Well, let's talk before we wrap up things about another guy. It's a guy we like to talk about at the end of all of these segments, these shows. And it's a segment that we like to call, let's try to do this at the same time. Are you ready? Okay. It's a segment we like to call Mandatory
Johnson.
So what has Ron Johnson, our senior senator, been up to this week? Boy, I don't know. With this segment, I don't know. Again, I said it before, I'll say it again. We could make entire shows out of this. But he has been talking about, go figure, the vaccine. He's been talking about people perhaps dying from the vaccine, and the numbers are not out there, and there's a big conspiracy, all this. He's been, talking about this on some real reputable sources like the Vicky McKenna show.
Ooh, that woman.
Frequent. She's a terrific host. Some of her, great guests include former Sheriff Clark. This is kind of the top shelf kind of guest she has on her show, and Senator Ron Johnson. So he's on there talking about vaccines and how people may die after the vaccine and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, the Washington Post gets a hold of this and they start asking him questions like, hey, we want to do a fact check article on what you've said. So we're going to go back and forth with you. And they release an article that says, hey, he's spouting all this nonsense, which is not supported by science, not supported by the CDC. Okay, great. Then a day later, the Ron Johnson camp, which I learned includes an old writer from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, whose name is Patrick McKieran or something. I don't know. That guy was a total drip back in the day. It's hilarious that he's like Ron Johnson's spokesman now. So, just a personal note. He always used to.
I like that drip.
Yeah, it's just a real
drip.
Anyway, they released a fact check of the fact check, which if you find it on Ron Johnson's site is just, it's basically, it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia thing with the guy, with the thing. It's just this
Charlie.
Really
it's just
long...
Charlie with crazy eyes.
Yes, exactly. It's like, once you see it's like 9,000 pages long, fact checking the fact checker. It's like, it's completely nuts. And yeah. So I don't know. I made it through about half of that. He's got, email transcriptions. He's got transcriptions from the radio show. He's got charts and graphs. It's just bonkers.
Wait, this is on his website currently?
Yes, you can find this on the senator's website. He's got fact checking the fact checkers or whatever he called it. And it's just bananas. Anytime it's that long, it's just like, yep.
Do you think he made some aide read the entire thing? Like he did?
Yes. That could be this guy. Yeah, the old Journal-Sentinel guy. This poor guy had to sit there and transcribe this whole thing. So, yep, that's what he's been up to. And I don't know. We did come up with a good alternate title for this segment, which maybe we'll have to use. And that would be, what was it again?
This fucking guy.
This fucking guy. Yeah. So with that wraps up this week's edition of Mandatory Johnson. So that about wraps things up. Kristin, it was great to talk to you. Thank you so much. And good luck on Monday. That sounds really exciting. Yeah.
I think it'll be fun. I think, we'll see. I think we'll get a good turnout. I'm hoping more so for good weather, but it'll be good. I mean, it's important, and just keep talking about it. People listen,
Sounds good. All right. Well, talk to you soon.
Bye.